All right, welcome back to Thursday Night with 912 Sports. I'm Kevin Price, podcast host and staff writer for 912. Of course, don't forget that our 912 Sports preseason high school football preview magazine is basically out now. So go make sure you pick up a copy and read all about high school football coming up here in Southeast Georgia as we get ready for what we hope will be an exciting 2020 season that we can get through from start to finish without too much chaos. But talking about football and a guy who used to play here in Southeast Georgia is Jack Podlesny. There's Jack right there. Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Kevin?
Awesome. Well, of course, Jack used to play here in the 912 area code. He's from St. Simons Island, played high school football and soccer at Glenn Academy, was good in both sports. Of course, he was a kicker and punter at Glenn Academy, and now he's at the University of Georgia, as you can see there on his shirt, getting ready for his third season in Athens with the Bulldogs. He's a redshirt sophomore. He went up there as a preferred walk-on to the Georgia football team and currently is in competition for the kicking job, which we're going to talk to him about. But, Jack, I'm going to kind of give you an easy one, I guess, here at first. This is your third year in Athens. What's it like to be a Georgia Bulldog? What's it like to put on that red and black and those silver breeches like Herschel Walker used to do, like David Pollock used to do, like the great Kevin Butler, who was a kicker, used to do? I mean, what's it like, man?
It's unbelievable. It's really hard to put like words to it because, there's such a rich history behind like the Georgia, like the university, the football team, everything. And just all the players that have played before me, whether like no matter the position, but it's honestly like the best word I think that fits it is indescribable. Like stepping on that field, wearing red and black, the jersey, everything, to know that like you represent such like a great football team and such a great university is just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Of course, I'm sure you get chill bumps going between the hedges. I know I would have, but we won't get too much into this. But I will talk to you kind of about football versus soccer. And I knew you really grew up more as a soccer player, and you envisioned yourself, if you're going to school to play sports, it was going to be a soccer. But obviously, that changed kind of your junior and senior year when you really started taking football more seriously, I guess, and kind of became a good kicker and punter. But just so people know, you had a chance to maybe be a preferred walk-on at Michigan. You went to visit the big house up there, and then also, Georgia made you the same offer kind of around the same time. No disrespect to Michigan. My brother-in-law is a Michigan fan, but I would like him to hear why you chose the University of Georgia over Michigan.
Yeah, so there were definitely like different reasons, like different things that were attracting me at both universities. Michigan obviously has a great biology program, environmental health, which I'm studying now. But UGA had just as much or better program. And when it came down to it, I loved the coaches here. I loved the coaches at Michigan, but it really just had a different attraction. And when I envisioned myself, I didn't envision myself as much kicking up in Michigan as I did down here, down in Athens. And when I thought about it, I thought, well, if I'm going to start one day, where is it going to be easy for my parents to come and watch me, my family to come and watch me? And I really just wanted to make a great access for them to be able to come support me. And Athens just felt like home. It just was amazing.
Yeah, of course, I know your dad pretty well. Of course, he's a soccer coach at Glenn and coached at Glenn and Frederica. And then Rob knows him pretty well too, professionally. And I'm jealous of your dad. I'll tell you that. Getting to go up there to UGA whenever he wants to and goes to a game, that's awesome. But let's talk about some other guys from the 912 who are up there. And you kind of talked to us a little bit before we started. But, of course, Richard LeCount. One of the biggest stars on the team on that Georgia defense from Liberty County, Hinesville. But some guys from here, Brunswick, Georgia as well. Warren McClendon, a year behind you in school, is competing for time on the offensive line. Of course, Stetson Bennett from Blackshear, Pierce County, is up there in the quarterback battle. And then Randon Jernigan, who you went to school with here at Glenn and played quarterback at Glenn, of course, is now an outfielder on the UGA baseball team. But I was just going to ask you, hey, do you ever run into any of those guys, or do you just have to wave at Richard from one end of the practice field and the other? But you had some interesting comments. Just kind of tell us about how you kind of see those guys around campus.
Yeah, so the relationship with all of them is very different, but it's also a good relationship no matter what. Randon, I see probably the more often than I would expect to, because I just figured we'd be on different schedules, different sports, everything. But because all the athletic facilities are in the southern part of campus, we're running into each other all the time, whether it's tutoring or eating dinner, eating lunch. Um, Richard LeCount, I mean, I see a little bit in the facility, but it's more of off in the distance, as you were saying, just goofing off, whatever. Um, Warren and I grew up playing basketball together, so I have a pretty good relationship with him. And then Stetson, just great guy, like all around. When he came in, like met him, I was like, this guy's special. Like they're all just great competitors.
Yeah. I wish we certainly follow all of you guys, and of course, being a Georgia Bulldog fan, it makes it a little more special. But I guess let's get down to business here, Jack. Obviously, we're all dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, and it interrupted you guys in the off season, no spring game, and all those kinds of good things. Just like the high schools here, you guys were able to go back to Athens and start working out sometime in June. Now you're kind of into that summer period that they've instituted this year, where the coaches can get on the field with you guys, get in the weight room. You can do position meetings and stuff. So they have a certain amount of time, as you know, that they can spend with y'all in advance of so-called real preseason practice. But I know you don't want to probably get too much into detail, but I mean, how is everybody dealing with this at Georgia? I mean, are things going pretty smooth and about as well as you could expect?
Yeah, so everyone's keeping pretty high spirits, I would say. I mean, this is what we live for is the football season. This is how hopefully one day we're gonna make our money off of football. But we're just trying to take it day to day because there's so much uncertainty of it all. Like even sometimes I don't even think the head coach or our offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators know what's going on sometimes with the NCAA making decisions left and right, just because there's so much uncertainty. But we're trying to make the best of it. I mean, we're looking forward to the season. We're hoping everyone else is looking forward to a season. We're just trying to be safe while doing it all too.
And talk about that. I mean, I don't know if you've kept up with what's kind of happening out west, but the Pac-12 players, of course, have written some letters and whatnot and made certain demands. But I know you can't really speak for everybody in the SEC, but at Georgia, I mean, do y'all feel pretty safe and pretty comfortable with the situation?
I would say on my own behalf, and I think of most of my other teammates, that we feel safe. I think Kirby's ensuring that our safety is like his number one priority, like making sure we're wearing our masks, whether we're walking through the facility or we have them ready out there for practice because we need them on. And I mean, they're doing safety guidelines where you have to check your temperature when you come in, or you have an antibodies test this week, or they're testing a certain amount of players for COVID each day. So they're just trying to keep up to date, just making sure that there's no outbreaks, there's nothing crazy going on.
I got you. I thought things were going pretty well from what I read and heard, but obviously you're in the inside there and can tell us. But tell us, Jack, kind of talk to you a little bit about what your schedule was going to be like, right here in this summer camp period. Kind of what's the typical day for you right now?
Right. So, depending on the day, one day, we have lifts every other day. And so when we have lifts, they spread them out by like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but there's lift groups from like 7 to 12 where we're waking up early in the morning, going in for an hour lifting. Then they're having to sanitize everything for the next group. And then after that, you're sent home if you're an early lift group, and you can just hang out, rest up. But after that, you have to report for lunch. Like today, we've got to report to lunch by 12:30. Starts at 12. And then after lunch, you have a team meeting, which lasts anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Then you have special teams meeting, another 5 to 10 minutes. And then you split off to unit meetings. And unit meetings probably last a little bit longer, like hour and a half. And then we break into practice, which is about an hour. And then they go to 7-on-7. So, I mean, typical day, meetings total last about 2 hours. So from 12:30 to 2. And then practices anywhere from 3 to 4, 3 to 4:30.
Yeah, so it's cool. And right now, everybody's studying football, so to speak. Gets a little different when you guys have to go back to class. I know it becomes a little more hectic, and you truly become a student athlete at that point. But talk about Coach Cochran. I guess he's the new special teams coordinator. Kind of made headlines around the Southeast when Kirby scooped him out of Alabama. What do you think he's going to bring to the special teams?
Yeah, so Coach Cochran's a great guy. I mean, I could speak for hours about him. He's definitely brought a new change to the team. He's all in, like he's just bought in from the start. Like first got the job and just contacted us all, making sure like, hey, you have my cell if you need to reach out, all this stuff. He's reaching out not only to like, obviously he's a special teams coordinator, but when you're a special teams coordinator, that just doesn't mean you're ahead of the specialists. You're the head of all the other special teams players that are part of that group. So he's reaching out to all the players on the team because who knows one day when he's going to need them. And he wants them to know it's more of a I need you deal instead of they need him. And he knows that like there's something special at this Georgia program and he really just wants it to explode. I mean, he's obviously just like us all. He wants to win another national championship. And he really feels like it's our time. And he just wants the best for us. He wants us to excel. So,
yeah, I kind of, from the things I read, obviously nothing against Nick Saban, but I kind of feel like him and Kirby kind of both want to prove themselves on their own and maybe do it together, of course, in this case. But Jack, obviously, all of us, up until last week, I guess, were curious as to what was going to happen all around college football, and we're starting to get those answers. But I can imagine maybe what some of the talk might have been in the locker room. Hey, are we going to get to play Virginia, or are we going to get to play Georgia Tech? Are we going to a totally conference schedule, which we now know is the case? I'm sure everybody has their own opinions and thoughts, but is there a general feeling in Bulldog Nation about the conference schedule only?
Yeah, I mean, we're like, just as I said earlier, we're kind of trying to take it day by day because who knows what that first game is going to be like. Who knows if they're going to change the schedule up where we might be playing Alabama first, we might not. But we're just trying to tackle it like anything else. Like if it was Alabama, we want to tackle it just the same as if it was another team. I mean, competition's not going to change. Like we're trying to breed for success. But I think we're just trying to keep like a positive mindset about it. So
that's something you really can't control. I know some behind the scenes work might be taking place, but you guys as players aren't necessarily involved in that. But Jack, let's talk about something you are involved in, and that's the kicking situation. Of course, everybody knows that Rodrigo Blankenship has now moved on to the NFL, so the spots he occupied are open, I guess. Just talk about the kicking situation. I know you're involved in it with several guys competing for time there. Just give us a inside look at the kicking situation.
Yes, sir. So there's room, obviously, always for competition, and they're really trying to, I think, breed it like a lot this year. So there's me and two others, but there's also possibly Jake Camarda. We don't know where this, like, it just kind of ends up where, like, when the season comes down to it, it's up to the coaches, and we don't really know that just yet of, like, what they're going to do. But, I mean, like, usually you think of, oh, if these guys are competing against each other, they're not really going to be friends. Like, it's hard to, be friends with someone you're competing against, like, for a job. But, I mean, it's all love around here. Like, we're, like, brothers, everything on the team. And so, I mean, we're just trying to push each other. When someone misses a kick, like, we're trying to help. Like, hey, this is why I think you missed it. Or, like, the opposite way around. And so I think there's just love all around, and we're trying to compete for a job. Who knows whether it's going to be one person kicking off, one person taking field goals, or if it's going to be both. So we're just trying to do what's best for us, but what's best for the team too.
I was going to ask you about that. Of course, Rodrigo, Hot Rod, as most Georgia people know him, kind of did everything except for punting. He did all the place kicking chores, but I guess there is that possibility that somebody could kick off and somebody could kick extra points and field goals.
Right. I think most coaches would like to use probably one person for both. I mean, just depending on the coach, just because maybe they're thinking, oh, I need to use them for both because it's the same kind of schematic kicking wise. Or another coach may believe I need to use two different ones so I'm not tiring out their leg per se. So I think it all kind of varies all across the nation, just depending on the program. But I think there's always possibility for that to happen.
Well, we'll talk a little bit real quick about Hot Rod. Maybe on a more serious note, I think we all know he's quirky and that kind of thing. But on a serious note, did you learn anything from him about kicking?
Oh yeah, there were plenty of things that he helped me with, whether it was contact on the ball, keeping your leg locked out, follow through, and honestly, just he's like such like a personable guy that most people think it may be hard to relate to him, as you were saying, because he's kind of quirky. But like he really he's been through it all. Like he knows like where he started, but where he is now, and I think he realizes that now with the Colts is like he's got to prove himself once again. And so he's definitely taught like the mindset piece is a great like aspect that he's taught me. And I mean, just all the kicking stuff has been really helpful too.
Now I can't remember. I know Kevin Butler's kind of been in and out of the program. Of course, he's always around the program. But was he ever like a special assistant when you were there? Was he actually coaching then?
So he had just received his master's the year before, like he had just graduated. And so that was the reason why he was able to like work with the team, because
right.
he was a student. But when I got there, he had already graduated, so he technically wasn't allowed to be on staff unless they were paying him. And he would show up sometimes because he was allowed to, because he's a donor and stuff like that, or he's a special guest. But he was not nearly around as much as he was years before, which I was upset about.
Yeah, because I'm sure you could have picked his brain for sure. But well, hey, real quick, just two more questions. You told me a funny story when you decided to go to Georgia about being on a visit up there. I read that story last night, or that I wrote, or I wouldn't have remembered this. But you told me a funny story about meeting Zamir White, of course, Zeus, the running back who we think we're going to see a lot of this year, but about him just being so big and strong when he shook your hand. Just talk about that encounter again.
Yeah, so my dad and I were walking around the facility, just like getting a tour of everything, and we were checking out the weight room and stuff. And Zamir, I think, had just come out of the training room, and I was like, "Oh, like I obviously recognize him. He's a big recruit, like big. He's gonna like obviously he's a big part of the UGA football team now, and I'm sure he's gonna get a shot this year as a starting running back." But he like the person that was taking us around introduced us, and I mean I stuck out my hand right away, like just wanted to like make my name known kind of, and he shook my hand and I thought he was gonna break it. Like he was so freaking, I was like, oh gosh, this is not good. I was like, I think I might have a broken hand now.
You found out you might need to go hit the weights, huh?
Definitely.
And Jack, what I guess maybe you do have aspirations of kicking in the NFL if you can, because you talked about making money, but obviously you're studying environmental health. For a dummy like me, what actually is that?
Yeah, so there's two kind of aspects of it that you could take away once you enter the environmental health field for a job. But there's the human aspect and then the actual like ecosystem part. So I right now kind of want to go into the human aspect of how we're affecting our own health further down the road, whether like the pollution, whether it's water, air pollution, stuff like that. It's very similar to ecology almost, but it's just a little bit different. But when I get out, possibly getting my master's, maybe in toxicology, kind of want to do environmental consulting, where I would work with like law firms and I would help with cases where they've seen like environmental justice, where they're maybe like suing of like a power plant or something that's illegally dumped toxic waste, stuff like that.
Okay. When you said biology earlier, I was starting to get it. And then when you said ecology right there, okay, those are the kind of words I know, but I didn't know what environmental health was. All right, Jack. Well, we know you got some football business to tend to, and we certainly could ask you questions about everything Georgia all day. But good luck to you, of course. Stay healthy and safe. We certainly appreciate your time, and of course UGA for giving us permission to talk to you here. Getting so close to the season and things being real busy. But hopefully we can do this again and maybe talk about an SEC championship or a national championship that you were a part of.
I would love that.
I think we all would. All right, Jack. We'll talk to you down the road, man. Appreciate
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All righty. That was Jack Podlesny, former Glen Academy soccer and, of course, kicking standout now, kicking for the Georgia Bulldogs there in Athens. Before we take a break, let's thank our sponsors, Prime South Bank, Gibson Animal Clinic, Coastal Pines Technical College, Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, and Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more here on Thursday night with 912 Sports right after these words.